Coming in at number 4 on our Locked On Senators NHL draft rankings, for me, the best defenseman in this class.
Woo!
National champion from the University of Denver, it's Zeev Buium.
Ross, I feel like there's a collection of scouts and people online that are on your side and saying Zeev Buium, best defenseman in this class, and they love him.
Who are they? They're smart.
Scott Wheeler, I believe, is the highest on him. I don't have it in front of me. You caught me off guard with that one, but there is a lot of people that believe that, and for a good reason, Ross. He's very similar to Jake Sanderson. The more I watch him and you look at his development path and the way he plays, you see a lot of Jake Sanderson there, and he's with the University of Denver, an amazing place for a prospect to thrive. They just won a national championship. You'll love to see that. He was a big part of it. Ross, arguably the biggest part of it, according to his coach, David Carl.
Well, if they did a Final Four MVP the way they do like an NBA Finals, or less of a Conn Smythe, because that would incorporate all the rounds to get there. But in the Final Four, those 2 games, the semis and the finals, he was the best player at the tournament. He was electric. I watched every shift that he had in that tournament. Shout out on YouTube, being able to watch that at our fingertips. He controls the pace of play like nobody I've ever seen at that level, at that age. Now, he is a December 05 birthday, so he will be 19 at Christmas time next year. He's 6 feet tall. He was bragging to his buddies, Macklin Celebrini and Cole Eiserman, that he hit 6 feet tall. Those two were 5'11" and 3/4. But he's a left shot defenseman, and that's the only thing I can hold against him for the Sens, is that he's a left shot, but he is so talented, and he's 3rd on hockeyprospect.com's list, 4th for Wheeler, 4th for Button, and he's then 7th for Elite Prospects, 8th for Bob McKenzie, and then 9th for McKean's Hockey. The only difference between him and Jake Sanderson for me developmentally is that Zeev was already, due to his age, Jake a July birthday, one of the youngest in the class, Zeev one of the older, he's already got a full season of college hockey under his belt. So the 2-year plan that we see so often, it's already expedited. He, to me, is going to step into the NHL after next college season and legitimately impact how a team looks down the stretch, much like a Luke Hughes did and others of that nature. This guy just has the smarts, has the passing, the vision, and the confidence to be able to step right into the NHL. You can run through his stats and let me know what you think the best attribute that Zeev Buium brings to the game.
Yeah, gladly. So he had 42 games played, 11 goals, 39 assists, 50 points in 42 games as a defenseman. You'll love to see that. Plus 33 in the plus minus account. And he had 5 points in 7 World Junior games. So also was able to contribute there. EP awarded him first best transitional D-man. So that's what we're talking about when we had master of transition on our side note there. 4th best offensive defenseman and 4th best vision. Ross, you asked me what's his top attribute. That's what it is. It's his ability to break the puck up the ice. I mean, and this is where he draws a lot of comparables to Jake Sanderson, in my opinion. They're both very good at that, especially at the college level. David St. Louis from EP pointed out on his video how Buium is able to draw defenders towards him, and then he can make a breakout pass to an open man, but it's not one-dimensional or one-trick pony. He'll quickly slide it over to a guy that he's seeing build up momentum, and then he's going to hit him in stride and go for it. He can make that quick 5-foot outlet pass that's going to get a winger going, or he can find a stretch pass and hit a guy circling in the neutral zone and allow them to skip 2 lines, their own blue line and the red line right there, just like that. Like, his ability to break the puck up the ice is so impressive. But let's say he doesn't find a pass to make, Ross. He's going to keep his feet moving. It's so hard to cover him. And then his vision allows him to be an effective player. Like, it's the classic saying, he's out there playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. Like, he already knows 2 moves ahead based on where guys are situated and how the play is going, where he wants the puck to be, a pass away from now and where he's going to be to support that pass after. Like, to have a guy that can break the puck up the ice like Zeev Buium is so valuable for teams, especially, Ross, when you're looking at teams picking inside the top 10. A lot of them don't have that premier transitional defenseman and need a guy like Buium.
Buium is also just a flat-out winner. Gold medal at the World Under-18s.
Yep.
Gold medal at the World Juniors. A Penne Rosa NCHC championship this year. And, of course, the national championship. He was also named a first-team All-American in the NCAA West. Like, this guy just brings it. And he's brought it for years. This isn't a guy who's just coming onto the scene. Went to Shattuck St. Mary's, that prestigious program there, was a solid player there. Then did his 2 years at the US NTDP with the kids a year older than him. So he was in the same class as guys from last year's draft, the Will Smiths of the world. And he was fitting in on that team very well. But then you look at what he's been able to do transitioning, and I think it was really helpful too for him. There's some great features out there. His parents, both immigrants from, I believe, the Middle East, if I'm not mistaken. I know they're all Jewish in heritage, but he grew up in California, and his older brother went to Denver. That's how Zeev showed up at Denver. And there's a great interview. I think it was on Spit and Chicklets around the time of the national championship where David Carl, the head coach at Denver, said, we wanted Shy, right? I believe is how you pronounce his brother's name. He's a second-round pick of the Detroit Red Wings. But then his younger brother showed up with him, and we said, we need this kid too. And turns out that was a smart call because Zeev is an absolute workhorse on the back end. He's a guy who I think in 5 years, 6 years from now, when you're refreshing the NHL.com stats page at time on ice per game, he's going to be right up in the top 15, top 20 in the NHL. Just a very trustworthy defenseman. And I love the elite prospect shades of Josh Morrissey. Bit undersized, but defends well with his feet, is so smart and able to maneuver offensively. I think he'll be a power play guy at the NHL level, maybe a first unit guy as early as 4 or 5 years in. I think you should start out. I think I'd put him as a guy who is going to excel at 5-on-5 before putting him in task to run a power play, but I do think he will get there. And he's so cerebral on the ice. I don't think you're going to find him out of position very often. So all in all, it's hard to nitpick Zeev Buium. I do think that he is the most well-rounded defenseman, no matter how you rank your first tier. Levshunov, Dickinson, Parekh, Buium. It's hard to argue that Buium all across the board has the most consistent ability in a number of different attributes.
Yeah, I think that's fair, Ross. I'll play the devil's advocate this time. I don't see that full power play upside. I think he's probably going to be a second unit guy. I think his ability to play with that big, expansive ice and transition the puck up the ice, I think it gets diminished once he's stuck in the O zone. Now, still very young in his career. He can figure that out. He's got the vision, the smarts, the handles that he can make it happen. But for me, if I'm looking at Buium, I'm not like, this guy's going to quarterback my top power play unit one day. I think you're more looking at, like you mentioned, 5-on-5. He's going to be so consistent, and you're going to look for another guy to be your top power play unit defenseman there. But I'm not saying you can't get there, but just personally for me, I think that's where he's kind of capped on upside. Is I think he's going to end up being more of a two-way guy. I think the defense is going to improve more than the offense will at the pro level.
And Pillsy, we talk about how he's a winner, but it's not just that he's a winner. It's how he wins and how he affects any situation he's in. You go back to the World Under-18s, no penalties in 7 games, plus 6 points. Not bad. What does he do as a 17-year-old at the World Juniors? Well, maybe 18. He turned 18 in December. 5 points in 7 games, plus 11 and 2 penalties. Like, to me, this guy just brings every intangible, every on-ice skill to be a top 5 player in this draft. To me, he's 4th overall. Like, I'm pretty solid in believing that Zeev Buium is the top defenseman in this draft, and it will go Celebrini, Demidov, Lidstrom, and then Zeev Buium. It goes on a run of defensemen right after. I'm not saying there's a big gap, and I understand people who prefer Parekh, who prefer Dickinson, who prefer Levshunov, but for me, I just love everything he brings. Zeev Buium would be a 6-star guy for me, Pilsy. What's he for you for the Senators at 7?
I got him at 4.5 stars, Ross. I love the player. I see everything you're talking about. I'm not denying that at all. I just think, especially for the Sens, you've got Jake Sanderson already, and there's so many comparables. I think you're looking for something a little different here. Now, am I saying, oh, you wouldn't want 2 Jake Sandersons on your team? Absolutely not. I would love to have a 1-2 punch of Jake Sanderson, Zeev Buium, or even if it flips one day, who knows, right? That's totally fine. We were talking before the show, Ross, and I'll use this analogy. For me, you've got 3 options at defense, assuming Lev Shunov is going to be gone. You got Parekh, Buium, Dickinson. It's the Goldilocks and 3 Bears. Am I saying that right? Goldilocks? Yeah,
I think
that
so.
sounds weird to me all of a sudden. But Parekh is that hot piping bowl of porridge where it's a little spicy for some people. They're not sure if that's where they want to go, but the upside is there. It's piping hot. Zeev Buium, perfect temperature. You're not worried about the floor. It's not going to be too spicy. It's just a nice, that's what you want. And then Dickinson, a little cold, not a lot of upside there, but still solid. So for me, Ross, I've got Zane Parekh 1 spot ahead of Zeev Buium, and then I've got Sam Dickinson a couple spots below with some forwards mixed in there. So if the Ottawa Senators select Zeev Buium, I'm hopping on that bandwagon with you, Ross. I'll be so excited about it to have 2 left shot defensemen that can skate, are smart, and can break the puck up the ice. Is a great spot to be in. So Zeev Buium, although he's not my top defenseman choice, I got Zane Parekh there so far, still an outstanding player. And if your team just drafted him, get excited.
Zeev Buium comes in at number 4 on our Locked On Senators NHL draft rankings with an average of 6.1. For more draft profiles, head over to YouTube and check out our full first-round mock draft available starting on June 22nd at 10 a.m.